campaign for the Florida Man Kickstarter. Florida Man RPG is an original TTRPG based on some of my favorite games, characters, and of course the viral insanity that is Florida. And this ain't a supplement. 6 ability scores, 10 playable species, 10 classes, 30 subclasses, 12 backgrounds, a full list of alignments, deities, feats, weapons, vehicles. Florida Man RPG will be completed using only human art and input. I've recently partnered with the fantastically talented Thatch Durbin. His role, in addition to awesome illustrations, will be bringing my Florida Man RPG vision to life. I've been cultivating a small team of creatives to put this thing together, and we're ready to get started. So why the GoFundMe? The pre-launch will provide the necessary capital used to commission the art and design for the upcoming Kickstarter campaign. It'll also cover short-term production and prep costs, assets, printing quotes, marketing. Finally, this funding will also help pay bills and keep the lights on while I devote my full time to the project. And if you do decide to donate, you get some pretty cool stuff. Your name on a special acknowledgement page in the book, early access to images and playtest materials, and my eternal gratitude. And maybe some kind of Florida blessing or something. No promises. Check out the link in the description. It's got all the information that's there. It's got that really cool original art piece by Thatch. Remember, sometimes the best stories don't happen in dungeons. They happen at the gas station. Thanks for listening and thanks for believing in the project. Let's make something completely unhinged.
That's why I was silent. I told you guys. I told you guys in the Discord. The tech gods did not want tonight to happen. Hear me now? Thank you. So apparently the mic had turned output off. So yeah, that's new. So rewind all of that. Tonight's show is not going to be like the previous shows. Tonight's show is going to take on a more somber tone. But with that being said, let's welcome everybody. This is Rogue Advice, a D&D TTRPG, sports, everything, and life podcast. I am your host. You guys may know me as the Pirate Archaeologist, Pirate, Rogue Pirate Archaeologist, or even Captain Bartholomew Bones, but there's still some who call me Chris. I'd like to take this time to welcome all of our regulars. Everybody is here. Puffy Cheeto, Ruby, Ron, Kirk. I saw my Lady Lee in here. Let's see who else is up in here. Crimson Honda's here. Jim's here. Welcome back, Jim. We missed you last week. It was an all Chris episode. Only the questions came from Puffy Cheeto, because we all know she's an honorary member of the Council of Chris. Kevin's here. Yokai Lover's here. So, but yeah. So, also, if you like the stream, subscribe, hit the notification button, make comments in the comment section. Tell me what you like about the stream. Tell me what you don't like about the stream. I have done some special stuff and made it look pretty. But yeah. So tonight, if you guys read the Discord, and if you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. Somebody will put a link up there, I'm sure. But tonight in the Discord. Well, not tonight in Discord, but yesterday in the Discord, I put up 2 polls. And it was part 1 and part 2. Now, you guys surprised me. and you apparently didn't want to end with our number one, so our number one is going to be our number one. But I went and did everybody on there. It's just everybody that I put in the polls. I ended up doing a little bit about everybody, but I only took like the top 5. Well, the top 2 have their own slides, and then it goes slides 3 through 5 have a pair, and slides 6, 7, and 8 all have triplets on them. So, and there's a theme to the triplets, and there's actually a theme to everybody. I mean, honestly, I didn't think about it when I was doing it, and it just happened to roll that way. So something broke. What broke? Oh, you smashed the like button. Okay. Whew. I thought something actually broke. But if you smash the like button so that nobody else can smash it crimson onto, then that'll be an issue. But with that being said, let us move to here, because this will start everything off, and this is tonight, and we're going to start off with the individual who got the most votes in the poll. Got 7 votes. Now, I set it up for multiple votes. I don't know, or for multiple votes counted, so I don't know if everybody voted multiple times or not, but this individual got the most votes. Yes, the tricorn hat is off. If you guys follow me on TikTok, I'll be making a official announcement in costume sometime this weekend. So I'll say more about that in chat later tonight. But let's get started. We've got 9 individuals to talk about tonight. But our first individual that we want to talk about is Mr. John Michael Ozzy Osbourne. Oh, Ozzy left us Wednesday, Tuesday, something like that. But I want to talk about Ozzy. Ozzy had risen from the gritty streets of Birmingham to become the prophetic voice of heavy metal. He kind of founded heavy metal kind of thing. His heavier sound reshaped rock forever. After his departure from Black Sabbath in 1979, he launched a blistering solo career with Blizzard of Oz, delivering anthems like Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley, cemented his status as a cultural icon. Beyond his music, he had enchanted millions through the MTV reality smash The Osbournes, revealing the warm, self-depreciating humor behind the Prince of Darkness persona. His litany of honors has been as formidable as his vocal roar. He has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, 2006 with Sabbath and 2024 as a solo artist. He had won multiple Grammys for Best Metal Performance. He had received the Ivor Novello Lifetime Achievement Award and MTV Europe's Global Icon Award. And he had earned a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Yet perhaps his greatest triumph has been remaining unabashedly himself, kind, mischievous, and relentlessly real, right up until his final curtain call. Ozzy touched so many people in so many ways with his music. I want to tell you a story. Mrs. Pirate's not in here tonight, but it's her story. And it's one of the funniest personal stories about Ozzy that I know. And I'm not crying, you guys are. It's Sandy over here. My wife was working a beer tent at Ozfest in New York one year. After high school, I think, sometime. I don't know the year. Probably, I think it might have been 96. No, can't be 96. Maybe it was 94. Something like that. But she was working a beer tent in Ozfest. And all the other beer tents, and hers included, were running out of beer because it was a massive year. So, all of a sudden, two individuals dressed in all black, wearing black sunglasses, and marched into her beer tent, looking for her specifically. They were like, do you know where we can find Mrs. Pirate? She wasn't Mrs. Pirate at the time, but and my wife was like, I'm her. They're like, you need to come with us now. She's like, no, I'm working my beer tent. They're like, we got it covered. You need to come with us now. So she begrudgingly goes with them, gets in the golf cart, drives all the way over to another private tent. And they instructed her to go to the tent, and they stayed outside. She walks into the tent, and there in a bejeweled lounge chair sits Ozzy. Now Ozzy calls my wife by her name, by her first name. And he's like, I hear you have something that I want, so to speak. She's like, well, I don't know what that could be. You, the Prince of Darkness, can get anything you want. He's like, except I can't get Gene to call me on the phone. I know you have his number. I need you to call him. I need to talk to him. It's very important. She's like, you can't get Gene on the phone? He's like, he's not taking my calls. He's ignoring me. So my wife calls up Gene Simmons. Gene, yeah, it's me. I got somebody here who wants to talk to you. And before she gets that last word out, the phone is snatched from her. And Ozzy's on the phone and says, Gene, you've been ducking my calls. We need to do lunch sometime. Have your people call my people. Yes, we do lunch. Let's go. He hangs up. He gives my wife back the phone. She's like, that was the important thing that I had to burn a favor for? He's like, no, you didn't burn a favor. I'll give you anything you want for that. She's like, well, I'd like my beer tent that I'm working not to run out of beer. I was like, done. An hour and a half, 2 hours later, Ozzy's personal beer truck parks up to the back of my wife's beer tent and starts unloading. Her beer tent is the only beer tent that does not run out of beer the entire festival. When my wife heard that Ozzy passed away, she was in tears. She was in tears. Puffy Cheeto says she watched the videos of Ozzy's last show. She has many regrets of bands that she never went to see, and they were close enough. Black Sabbath is one of the biggest regrets. I agree. Kirk says, I can see Ozzy's beer truck pulling up to the pearly gates now. Yeah. I can see that too. But Ozzy's beer tent or beer truck pulling up to the pearly gates now kind of rolls into our number 2. And I will tell you this, I am sad that Mrs. Pirate's not here. Because not only did she know this guy right here, she also knew the number 2. Now, her and the number 2 were born and raised and grew up in the same town in upstate New York. Now, while my wife knew number 2, she only knew number 2 through her brother. Because number 2 is 4 years older than my wife. And her brother and my wife were in the same grade. Our number 2 is Master Chef Ann Burrell. Now, don't hate me on this one. Sounds like I married up. Oh, trust me. I haven't even told you the Kiss story, and that's Gene Simmons and Kiss. But we'll get to that. Not now. That's a lore drop for a later time. Black Sabbath story. I think I was 7 years old. Elder brother won a Black Sabbath t-shirt, but it was too small, so he gave it to me. When my mother saw me wearing it, she was horrified. Ron? Probably any mother would at the time. Probably any mother would at the time. But, Ann Burrell. Let's talk about Master Chef Ann Burrell. She transformed kitchens into lively classrooms for legions of home cooks. Myself included, a little bit. A graduate of the Culinary Institute of America. I forgot. Don't cancel me on this one. I know Ann passed away in June, but there's a plan here. But she's a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America. She has charmed the audience as the fiery yet approachable star of Food Network's hits like Secrets of a Restaurant Chef and Worst Cooks in America. I could never be on that show because I'm not a bad cook. Whether she has been demonstrating knife skills or guiding newcomers through their first omelet, her passion for teaching has always shown through her signature platinum style and infectious laughter. Though Emmy statuettes have eluded her, her peers had recognized her mentorship. She had received multiple James Beard Foundation nominations and served as a passionate ambassador for youth culinary education. Off camera, she had quietly mentored scholarships, students, and donated generously to food security initiatives. Her unbridled enthusiasm and unwavering belief that anyone could learn to cook had made her one of television's most beloved chefs. Ann Burrell, 1969 to 2025. Not only that, and this is what makes Ann's death so heartbreaking. It came out yesterday that she did not die of natural causes. It was a mixture of medications and ethanol alcohol. I'm not going to say much on that, but Ann Burrell was a force to be reckoned with, and one that I sadly never got to meet. And it wasn't by my choice. It wasn't by my wife's choice, because there was an invitation back in 2021 to go to a certain event of Ann Burrell's, and my wife turned it down. Not because she didn't want to go see her friend get married, but because my wife couldn't travel at the time. Ann Burrell had only been married 4 years. She did struggle for years. She talked about it once. Yep. She absolutely did. Let's see. My parents are hardcore Christians, so I had to listen to the bad radio station with headphones and make mixtapes that I couldn't listen to without them hearing. Nice. Didn't know she died too. Goodness, we're losing everyone. Yeah, Crimson, she died at the end of June. Another one that broke my wife's heart. Literally broke my wife's heart. Like, she called up Ann's brother days later and talked to him about it. It's, yeah. Self-inflicted? Yep. Puffy Cheeto's mom almost had a heart attack when you got your tongue pierced and got a tattoo. Well, if you're going to hell, then do you think the Prince of Darkness is in heaven or is he on the throne? Either way, either place should still be rocking out. Yeah, I was sad to hear it too. And weird thing is, it was basically Benadryl, Citrazine or Zyrtec, and ethanol. That was what the autopsy found. So, on that, it's just going to get sadder from here, people. Because our next, and mind the theme. So the first one, the theme was the Prince of Darkness. The second one, the second theme is Master Chef. The third theme, TV Legends. TV Legends. We have the demonic lord Julian McMahon from Charmed, or Victor Von Doom, or from Nip Tuck, Christian Troy, and Theo, Malcolm Jamal Warner. Australian-born Julian McMahon had captivated viewers with his razor-sharp charisma. From the seductive demon Cole Turner on Charmed to the mercurial plastic surgeon Dr. Christian Troy on Nip Tuck. He had delivered performances that were equal parts magnetic and unsettling. On the big screen, he embodied Victor Von Doom in Fantastic Four, demonstrating his range by stepping into the armor of one of comics' greatest villains. Across 3 decades of a career, he had earned Golden Globes, Saturn Award nominations, a testament to his ability to command both drama and science fiction audiences. Colleagues had praised his work ethic and the care he brought to every role. Ever gracious and present, Julian had balanced blockbuster action with nuanced television work, leaving an indelible mark on both mediums. Julian has been out of the spotlight for a few years, and it was because he was privately battling with cancer. I don't have what type, but I know it wasn't good for him. Sad to see Julian go. Would love to have seen him play one more role. But, yeah. And Malcolm Jamal Warner. Malcolm Jamal Warner had become the beating heart of The Cosby Show as Theo Huxtable, bringing warmth and wit to living rooms worldwide. He had transitioned seamlessly into adult roles, producing and directing projects that had showcased underrepresented voices. Beyond acting, he had been an accomplished jazz musician, releasing albums that revealed his soulful bass lines and compositional flair. His talent had been honored with an NAACP Image Award and Young Artist recognitions, celebrating both his dramatic chops and his commitment to educational programming. Friends had described him as a true Renaissance man, thoughtful, encouraging, endlessly curious. Malcolm Jamal Warner had remained an inspiring figure, using his platforms to uplift the next generation of performers and creatives. Sadly, Malcolm Jamal Warner was on a family vacation to Costa Rica, to Limon, Costa Rica, and was out swimming, got caught up in a riptide, and sadly drowned. Theo Huxtable will never be forgotten. If you can't swim, Puffy Cheeto, don't go to the water. You know that. He did have cancer, Kevin. He died of cancer. Fun fact, the Prime Minister of Australia back in the 70s or so took a walk and a late night swim and was never seen again. 2 or 3 prime ministers later was Julian's father. Oh, that's definitely a hell of a way to go, Crimson Undone. Yeah, I learned to swim at an early age, and by early age I mean I was 5 when my uncles threw me into a pool and said sink or swim. Yeah. You can't do that nowadays. Yeah. But this is our television icons theme. He did he? Because after that he went super private about it and kept out of the spotlight, Ruby. But at least Colin and Prue are up in wherever they're at. Parents put Puffy Cheeto in swimming lessons every year until she was 16 and was terrified every time and still never learned. All right. Now we're moving on to some music legends. Now, there's 2 music themes here. Okay? This one is music legends, and legends is the polite way to put it, this one. We have jazz legend Chuck Mangione and surf and safari legend Brian Wilson. With the mellow ribbon of his flugelhorn, Chuck Mangione has scored the late 70s chill-out anthems Feel So Good, a track that still reverberated across generations. A composer, band leader, and NPR mainstay, he has seamlessly fused jazz, pop, and classical elements into a sound that had been instantly recognizable and irresistibly melodic. His artistry had earned him a Grammy Award and countless invitations to international jazz festivals. Beyond the accolades, his greatest gift has been the music's unspoken optimism. Each sustained horn note had felt like an open invitation to smile, slow down, and savor the beauty of the moment. A master of his craft, jazz legend Chuck Mangione. Chuck Mangione. Then we head over to Brian Wilson, who had turned sun-drenched California surf into the lush, introspective art pop of Pet Sounds. Pet Sounds. An album that had remained a benchmark of modern composition. As co-founder of the Beach Boys, he had penned timeless harmonies on songs like Good Vibrations, forever expanding rock and roll's expressive potential. A Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee and Grammy Lifetime Achievement honoree, Brian's influence had spanned from the Beatles to today's indie innovators. His battles with mental health and triumphant return to live performance had revealed a resilience as profound as the beauty of his music. Gentle, visionary, and true to his muse, Brian Wilson stood as a testament to the power of following one's own creative instincts. Brian Wilson. Is there any more Beach Boys left? Because I believe he was the last one. Ron, Ruby, do you know any other Beach Boys left? Not to pick, but Jim might know too. Looking at the early days of the Beach Boys, you'd never expect they'd end up being as influential as they would become. You're absolutely right on that, Jim. However, there were also thieves. And hear me out. Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys took so much and was influenced so much, to include taking some of his actual riffs and beats and everything, but they took a lot from Chuck Berry. Like Surfing USA and Sweet Little 16. If you listen to them, they are the same song. Different lyrics, same song. So, while they were influential, it was only because of their popularity. Chuck Berry. Yeah. 4 former Beach Boys appear to still be with us. Thank you for that, Kirk. So, Brian wasn't the last Beach Boy. Now, Puffy says there are 2. Mike Love and any other one. Well, our next pair, I didn't realize when I was putting these next two together how much this fits. Because I was just thinking I was putting a movie star and a video game creator together. Turns out, the next two are video game legends. Because the first one has voiced so many characters in so many video games. And we're talking about Michael Madsen and Julian LeFay. Michael Madsen. Let's talk about Michael. Michael had brought a brooding volatility to Quentin Tarantino classics like Reservoir Dogs and Kill Bill. With his gravel-toned voice, pierced gaze, and unpredictable charm, He had embodied characters who had balanced menace and vulnerability in equal measure. His work had been celebrated at film festivals worldwide, earning ensemble acting honors and solidifying him as a sought-after character actor. Off-screen, he had mentored young performers and championed projects that had blended genre thrills with emotional depth. Michael's understated generosity, and integrity had made him a trusted ally in an often cynical business. With that, though, he also voiced some very great characters, and I'm going to them right now. Tony Cipriani, Grand Theft Auto 3. Don Rafferty, True Crime, Streets of LA. John Tanner, Driver 3. Jack Ferinsky, Narc. In the video game Reservoir Dogs, Vic Vega, Mr. Blonde, obviously. Futoshi Shimano in the English dub of Yakuza. Dowd in Dishonored. Michael Finn O'Leary in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. William Carver in The Walking Dead Season 2. Dowd again in Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. Tony Cipriani again in Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. And Travis Baker in Crime Boss Rockay City. Now I go through all of those to bring up Mr. Julian Lefay, who, mind you, was only 59 years old when he passed away. And he passed away like 6 days after he announced he was leaving the video game industry. Julian Lefay had been the unsung pioneer behind the open worlds that defined modern role-playing games. And this is why we are here. Individuals like Julian Lefay, individuals like Gary Gygax. This is the epitome of what we do as gamers, as TTRPGers. As lead programmer on the Elder Scrolls 1 through 3, he had authored systems that had unleashed player creativity on an unprecedented scale, influencing countless franchises that had followed. Peers had hailed him as a developer's developer, rigorous, inventive, and always eager to share source code lessons with aspiring designers. Awards may have been few, but his legacy had persisted in every sprawling virtual realm where adventurers had lost themselves in possibilities he first dreamed into being. If it wasn't for people like Julian Lefay, there would be no Baldur's Gate 3. There would be no Elder Scrolls Online. There would be no Elden Ring. There would be none of that video game RPG creativity if it wasn't for individuals like Julian Lefay. When I heard that he had passed away, I didn't know who he was until I started doing researching on him. Exactly. Once the time the games were cheap, consoles were expensive. Now the consoles are cheap, the games are expensive. Yeah. Yeah. Puffy Cheeto gets vertigo really bad when you're trying to play something where you have to control camera views, so you rather watch people who know how to control it. Nice. 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 Ron doesn't play video games either. He only knows anything about them through memes and commentary. Some people just don't play video games, Ron, and it's okay. We don't judge. We don't judge. The only thing we judge is if you've painted your minis or not. And that's the one and only, Kirk. That is the one and only tonight. Trying to bring up the mood just a little bit. Just a little bit. Oh, I thought you were going to say you get vertigo trying to paint your minis. That's why you don't paint them. PCs, consoles, software games are expensive, but I'm a Scrooge. Kevin, you're fine. Trust me, you're fine. Our next set, we're moving on. Our next set is our first set of 3. Musical icons. Not legends. Maybe legends in some right, but music icons. Kirk, your minis are still primed in black, and it does fit today. You see a red door and you want to paint it black. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I won't fault you for having them primed in black. But our next set of individuals that we lost in the past week or so. Connie Francis, George Kouliamans, and Robbie Pardlow. Connie Francis, with a voice as versatile as it was pure, she had become the top-selling female vocalist in the late 1950s. Scoring hits from Who's Sorry Now to multilingual recordings, and I think the birth date on there is wrong. I think it was like 36 or something like that. Her trailblazing success had opened doors for countless women in pop music, proving that a female solo artist could command charts around the globe. An inductee of both the Grammy Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame, Connie's enduring warmth and sincerity had shown through every note. Even decades later, her tours and recordings reminded us that genuine artistry transcended eras, and true charm needed no renovation. 1937. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Bacon, you missed the first half, but I'm glad you're here for the second half. Welcome in. George Kouliamans, as co-founder and lead guitarist of, this is a trivia question. What was he the co-founder and lead guitarist of? People in the chat. I will give you a clue. He is Dutch. I didn't know this group was Dutch. I thought this group was American, or at least British. Yes, Jim! Golden Earring. Very good. He had co-written the global smash Radar Love, whose pulse-pounding riff still ignites airwaves today. For over 50 years, his band has blurred rock, pop, and prog influences into a sound that has been unmistakably his own, or their own. George's songwriting had earned Edison Awards and a place in the Dutch Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Beyond records, he had championed music education in the Netherlands, inspiring young guitarists through clinics that echoed the pioneering spirit of his earliest jams. Hi, Teeny. Welcome in. Robbie Pardlow. Now, a lot of you may not know who Robbie Pardlow is. I certainly did not, but he did pass away recently, so I am including him. And it's mainly because while I'm a fan of the music genre today, I wasn't a fan of the music genre then. Robbie Pardlow had emerged from Willingboro, New Jersey as a dynamic lead vocalist of the R&B trio City High. Alongside Claudette Ortiz and Ryan Toby, he had broken through with Wyclef Jean, produced anthem What Would You Do?, which had climbed to the number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earned a Grammy nomination. Their follow-up single, Caramel, featuring Eve, had solidified their place in the early 2000s pop and R&B history. Beyond City High's indelible catalog, Robbie had continued to shape the soundscape with the quartet First Take and vocal contributions alongside Whitney Houston and Lil' Kim. He had candidly shared his journey through addiction and recovery on A&E's Intervention, and he had been remembered not only for his raw, emotive delivery, but also for his warmth as a devoted family man, an Eagles superfan, and a mentor to young artists. Robbie Pardlow. All of these individuals that we have talked about were inspirations to millions and millions of people, and their influences will now be lost to time. And as Dan Aykroyd once famously said, and to the classical records section of your school's or of your city's local public library. But moving right along into, now I classify this as wartime friends. Don't know if they actually were, but there is a theme to that title. The next three we have are Kenneth Washington, Lalo Schifrin, and Tom Troop. Kenneth Washington had been best known for joining Hogan's Heroes in its sixth and final season as Sergeant Richard Baker, making history as one of the few black actors with a regular role on a network sitcom of the era. Prior to that, he had appeared on shows such as Star Trek, I Dream of Jeannie, My Three Sons, and The Rockford Files. And he even ventured into film with a role in the 1973 sci-fi classic Westworld. After retiring in 1989, he had returned to Loyola Marymount University, earned his degree, and became a beloved professor of speech, oral interpretation, and the history of black actors in film. Colleagues have remembered him as a consummate professional with a warm heart whose pioneering spirit and generosity of spirit had inspired generations of students. Kenneth Washington, Hogan's Heroes, World War II. Keep that in mind. Tom Troop. We're going to skip over Lalo Schifrin for now. Tom Troop. Tom Troop had been a Broadway mainstay and a regional theater stalwart whose career spanned decades of unforgettable performances. A Korean War veteran awarded the Bronze Star, he had made his Broadway debut in The Diary of Anne Frank in 1957 and had later portrayed Corporal Job in the cult classic Kelly's Heroes. Across dramas and comedies, he had navigated every genre with equal parts rigor and wit. An Obie Award recipient and a Drama Desk nominee, Tom had devoted himself to nurturing young actors through workshops and nonprofits. His generosity of spirit and steadfast belief in the theater's transformative power had made him both a mentor and cherished friends to countless artists. There's a theme with everybody here. Everybody in this group has a generosity of spirit, wants to inspire, helped mentor young individuals wanting to break into the business. I have watched every single season and every single episode of Hogan's Heroes, Puffy Cheeto. Absolutely. Fun fact about Hogan's Heroes. What was the network Hogan's Heroes was on? What was the network that Hogan's Heroes was on when it was on first time around? And why did it get picked up? Because the studio actually passed on it. I think it was CBS, Jim. I think it was CBS. Because the studio originally passed on it until they got a nasty, nasty phone call, or a very upset individual showed up into the producer's offices and chewed them out. That individual was Lucille Ball. And the studio that actually produced Hogan's Heroes was Desilu Studios. And they produced it, they filmed it and everything. Even in some of the episodes, you could see downtown LA in some of the episodes. But they produced it in Los Angeles. Right there on the studio lot. Right there on Desilu Studio lot. They did produce Star Trek 2. But Desilu Studios produced it, but it was put out by CBS. Or ABC, one of the two. I don't think it was ABC. It was either CBS or NBC. Yep, that. I did not know that either until my dad had told me about it a couple years ago. Desilu Studios produced Hogan's Heroes. Yes, they did. Now, with that being said, Kenneth Washington playing Sergeant Baker in a World War II TV series, Tom Troop playing Corporal Job in a World War II movie about robbing a bank 30 miles behind enemy lines, and Lalo Schifrin. Lalo Schifrin was the composer who put the soundtrack together for Kelly's Heroes. Lalo Schifrin was the composer who composed the Mission Impossible theme song. Let's talk about Lalo Schifrin. Lalo Schifrin had left an indelible mark on music with his iconic Mission Impossible theme, which had redefined television scoring. From the jazz-infused pulses of Bullet to the martial arts grandeur of Enter the Dragon, his versatility and innovation had enthralled audiences worldwide. A 6-time Grammy winner with multiple Academy Award nominations, Lalo's work had bridged jazz clubs, concert halls, and movie palaces. Colleagues had treasured his warmth, unpretentious brilliance, and the melodic fingerprints that had made his music instantly recognizable. I have mad respect and mad love for Lalo Schifrin. I even have the Kelly's Heroes album on vinyl at the house. But these are our wartime friends. As you could tell, 1936, 1932, while they couldn't have been in World War II, they most certainly could have been Vietnam, maybe Korea, but I'm not going to put that on anybody. But Tom Troop, definitely a Korean War veteran. He was he absolutely was. He was the sound of TV and movies of that era. He absolutely was. You want to talk about great composers? Lalo Schifrin. Who is it? Is it James Horner? No, it's not James Horner. Who is it? John Williams. Lalo Schifrin was the sound of TV and movies. And then John Williams took the mantle from the movies. Hans Zimmer, Harry Mancini, You look at everything that John Williams has done. He did the score for all three Star Wars, for all three original Star Wars movies. John Williams did the score for the Indiana Jones series. John Williams did the score for, I believe John Williams did the score for the Back to the Future series. Danny Elfman's good too, but Danny Elfman was along the same line of John Williams, only a little bit later. And did Danny Elfman do mostly TV stuff? But John Williams also did the score for the Jurassic Park series. He's done all 9? Thank you, Yukai. Well, I would assume he was done at least the first 6, because John Williams and George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were all great friends. But I wouldn't have assumed that he did the last 3, because they weren't a George Lucas production. So, but if he's done all 9, that's actually phenomenal on him. So, we are at an hour, guys, and we have one more. And I almost didn't put this one in, but I had to. And we started with one of my wife's stories, and we're going to end the evening with one of my stories, because I actually knew one of the last 3. The last 3, I call them miscellaneous legends. We could call them adventurous legends. One of them, may not be a legend, but he's a legend in my mind. When you're jumping a car across the bridge, or chasing the Duke boys around frickin' Hazard County, you gotta be a legend. And that's a big clue. We got Rick Hurst, Felix Baumgartner, and Hulk Hogan. Rick Hurst had lit up television screens as Cletus Hogg on The Dukes of Hazzard, crafting a lovable portrayal that had balanced down-home humor with comedic flair. Over a 50-plus year career, he had appeared in more than 70 films and TV shows, slipping seamlessly from sitcoms to dramas. Honored by the Western Heritage Awards for his contributions to cowboy cinema, Rick had been celebrated by peers for his boundless energy, impeccable comic timing, and the camaraderie he had fostered on every set. Rick Hurst, Cletus Hogg, Deputy, Hazard County. Felix Baumgartner. Now, a lot of people don't know Felix Baumgartner. A lot of people should know Felix Baumgartner. But a lot of people did not know who Felix Baumgartner was. Felix Baumgartner had leapt, or when Felix Baumgartner had leapt from 128,000 feet In the landmark Red Bull Stratus mission, he had become the first human to break the sound barrier in free fall. His record-breaking skydive had united science, courage, and global fascination, sending literal shockwaves through the atmosphere. A Guinness World Record holder and acclaimed TED Talk speaker, Felix had inspired a new generation of adventurers and engineers. His calm under pressure, meticulous preparation, and thrill-seeking heart had reminded us that pushing boundaries had the power to elevate us all. Bomb, not bum. Baumgartner. Okay. Thank you, Ron. Felix Baumgartner tragically passed away while flying a powered sail thing. Big fan on his back with a powered parachute sail hang, stuff like that. He wasn't feeling too well and probably had a heart attack while flying, lost control of his flying machine, flying rig, and passed away. Yeah, it is ironic that he died from a hang glider issue. Genetic memory farms, you can hate the man and his actions from the recent, but as a wrestler, from a wrestler's perspective, he meant everything to the business. So, I knew Hogan when I was a kid, about 10, 12 years old. My cousins used to play ice hockey at the Tampa Bay Junior Lightning, or with the Tampa Bay Junior Lightning in Sunblades Arena in Clearwater, Florida. And Terry was there. Terry was the silent type, but he wasn't. He wasn't the abrasive type. You come up to him and talk to him, he would talk to you. You wanted a picture. You're a kid. You wanted a picture. Me and my sister got a picture with him. Not condoning his actions as of late or anything, but as a wrestler, Terry Hulk Hogan Bollea had transcended wrestling to become a global pop culture phenomenon. He had headlined multiple WrestleManias, captured 6 WWF championship reigns, and had brought Hulkamania into millions of homes through television triumphs like Hogan Knows Best. His larger-than-life charisma had transformed sports entertainment into a mainstream cultural force. Inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005, Hogan's impact had extended beyond the ring. His catchphrases had become part of the lexicon, and his philanthropic work with youth charities had left a legacy of empowerment until recent events. Fierce in competition, yet known off-camera for his loyalty and generosity, again, past like 15, 20 years ago, Hulk Hogan had stood as one of wrestling's greatest ambassadors. And he was, to the wrestling world. Not to anybody else. Not to the rest of the world. But to the wrestling world. Wrestling would not be what it is today. Wrestling would not be as big as it is today if it hadn't been for WrestleMania 3, Hogan and Andre. Hogan body slams Andre. Story time. Story time with Captain Bones. And I'm going to go to the big screen for this. Let me go back to the big screen. Story time with Captain Bones. Andre was always going to let Hogan body slam him. Fact. Andre was so big, so massive. Nobody was picking Andre up if Andre did not want you to pick him up. Andre was light on his feet. Seemed like a hulking brute. He was. But he didn't start that way. Andre was found, and we're getting off of Hogan to get on to Andre to get back on to Hogan. Andre was found in a bar in Nice, France. He was scouted in a bar in Nice, France. Doing arm wrestling competitions while drinking a beer. At 15 years old, he already stood 7'2". Andre got so drunk one night he passed out in the hotel lobby. 3 wrestling superstars walked into the hotel. The hotel manager said, "Is he with you?" Undertaker looked at the hotel manager and said, "Just leave him. There ain't no way we're dragging his drunk ass up to his room. He's too heavy. Put a blanket on him. Let him sleep it off." With that being said, Hogan was always going to move the immovable object. The irresistible force meets the immovable object was always going to be Hogan. Without Hogan, you wouldn't have John Cena. Without Hogan, you wouldn't have Roman Reigns. Without Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant, you wouldn't have WWE. Vince McMahon was writing, actually it wasn't even Vince at the time, it was Vince's dad. So Vincent Kennedy Sr. Or not Vincent Kennedy, because Vince's dad was hinging everything on WrestleMania 3. If WrestleMania 3 didn't go the way they wanted it to, they were packing up shop. Yes, things got messy for Hogan recent years. We have to be able to separate what he did personally from what he did professionally. With that, we are in chat. So, let's bring up the mood. Let's bring us our good things for the week. What is everybody's good things for the week? I will start it off. It's par for the course for me, but so I had a class this week, a 4-day class for work, and I passed the class with a 95% on final exam. Woohoo! It was a really easy class. It was for work, and it was basically review class for whatever for everything that I've already done, but this class is a gateway class for the next class, which is Also, things I've already been doing at work for the last 5-6 months. So, yeah. Oh, and I got a bracelet. It says pirate on it. And it matches the pirate outfit because it's ox blood and gray. So, 3/4 of the way through the building of the deck on the trailer. Nice, Ron. That's good. Puffy Cheeto's good thing. Her mom's family has been in town all week and will leave Saturday or Sunday. We haven't some of them for well over a decade. They live in another state, so it's good to see them. Kevin, I missed one question on purpose. That way I wasn't perfect. Because then they think I was cheating. I scored an 85. Look, I scored an 85 on the on the preliminary assessment. I missed 3 questions on the preliminary assessment, and I missed 1 question on the final. So I'm good. You only needed a 70 to pass. I looked at them before we even took the pre-assessment. I'm like, if we pass the pre-assessment, if we ace the pre-assessment, do we still have to take the course? They're like, yes. So I did 85%. Good thing of the week, your minis haven't slaughtered you in your sleep for still not having them painted. Well, you know, Kirk, they might. They just might. Oh, and I'm gonna lay it here. If you guys, any of you guys follow me on TikTok, I will be making an announcement this weekend. While wearing full pirate garb and costume and everything, about when I will be starting my book reads. And the first book read will be Treasure Island. Going to see Fantastic Four tomorrow. Really have high hopes for this movie. Fingers crossed. Does anybody play Fortnite? Because I might get canceled on YouTube for this one, but Fortnite is now offering Fantastic Four skins for their characters. The other kind of Captain Bones story time, that's going to be over on my Twitch or my Instagram, Bacon. And that one is, if the guys want to come join and listen to some pirate romance, then by all means. But the first book of that series is going to be A Pirate's Love. A story of a aristocratic woman who gets kidnapped by her pirate, who takes her for his own without her will. And then she falls in love with him. Written by Joanna Lindsay. So, don't have the ticky-toppy, so keep us posted in the Discord. I will, actually. I will. When I make my video, I will download my video and I will post it to the Discord. However, Puffy Cheeto, while A Pirate's Love, the 18 plus adult oriented rated R book, is going to be on a channel where I can do stuff like that and not get community guideline violations for reading a pirate smut novel, basically. TikTok is where I'll be reading Treasure Island. But I can always download the video and post the video into clips and highlights in the Discord, so you guys, or I'll make I'll have one of my many mods in the Discord make a story time with Captain Bones or something. I still have to figure out what I'm going to call it. I don't know what I'm going to call it. The romance one will be read over on my either Twitch or Instagram accounts, Puffy Cheeto. And there'll be lives. So if you can't make it, they'll be recorded and you can read them and you can listen to them later. You Kevin, you said that already. Like, you said that a couple weeks ago too. You have a thing about wanting to become a lich. Twitch does not cost anything to join. Nope, Twitch is free to join. It only costs something to subscribe, but I'm not at that level of having the ability. I'm not an affiliate yet on Twitch, so I don't have the ability to get subscribers. I don't have the ability to get any sort of monetization from it. So, and I don't do it for the monetization. I really don't. If people want to join and subscribe to it and everything else, great. If not, that's great too. I don't do this stuff. I wholeheartedly tell you guys every time, I don't do this for the money. I don't need the money. While money's nice, I am not doing this to get monetized off of or anything else. I'm doing this because I like the platform we built as Bard Advice, and I wanted to keep it going. So, Critical Role's on Twitch. I've got a few friends on here who are in Twitch. They're actually playing... I'll tell you what they're playing. They're playing a game called Schedule 1. And yes, it is exactly what it sounds like. They are playing a game right now. They're running a team of 4. They're playing a game called Schedule 1. And as soon as we end here tonight, I'll probably pop over to there and watch them for a bit. YouTube has ads too, though, Kevin. Until I was a subscriber and until the Bard turned off the ads, we would get a 60-second ad in the middle of Bard Advice. I can post a link to my Twitch in the Discord. I can. Actually, if somebody wants to write this, because if I hit enter, it's going to go to the intermission screen and you're going to hear the Bard again. But if anybody wants to put this into the chat, you can find my Twitch at Archaeopirate, ARCHAEO Pirate. That is my Twitch. That is my Twitch handle. So you can find me there. And one of these days, I will get one of these cool little slides on the back end that actually has my handles on them. I have them for my other, when I'm on Twitch, I have them for there, but I don't have them here yet. Still working on this, guys. It's Archaeopirate. Yep, there it is. Thank you, Bacon. But yeah, right now, all I'm doing over there on Twitch right now, I've had 2 live streams, and it's just me playing video games. It's me, I'm actually running through Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or not Odyssey, Origins right now. And Teeny just posted in the Discord. Thank you, ladies. I love you 3 to death. You know this. It is 1 hour and 22 minutes long, people. This show was phenomenal, and I thank you guys for being here. I thank you guys for joining me in this week's In Memorandum. Next week, we will be back to our regular scheduled programming, barring no other freaking celebrity deaths that we want to talk about. So, with that, I want to bid you guys a fond farewell, and I want to check something, because last week somebody said the music was drowning my voice out. So, we're going to go here and see if the music is still drowning my voice out, or see if you guys can still hear me, because we are at the end. This has been Rogue Bard Advice's In Memorandum, our 25th episode, guys. It was a great episode. And please, do not forget to send in your questions or comments or whatever you just want to send in to roguebardadvice@gmail.com. That's ROGUEBARDADVICE@gmail.com. That's roguebardadvice. And with that, it sounds great, Puffy Cheeto. Thanks. Thanks, Bacon. Thanks. Good night, Ruby. Good night, all. Have a safe and happy and fun weekend. And I will see you guys next Friday. Same time. Same channel. Have a roguish weekend.